Good afternoon, writers. Today we are going to talk about writing an informational or what we call an expository paragraph. We are going to practice using some of the information we read about the other day on climate of the Midwest region and take a look at how we can put our wonderful notes that we took into a paragraph. But first, I want to refresh our memory as to what exactly is a paragraph? How do we make a paragraph? And what is the structure of a paragraph? So this might seem like, oh, I already know what to do here, but it's always good to review to make sure that we have all the parts so that our paragraphs are having enough information and they're organized. So this is a step in that direction. So as you can see here, we have a topic sentence. We always want to start our paragraph off regardless of a topic sentence. We need to introduce what you're going to be writing about to your audience. So that is more of a general statement. After we introduce our topic sentence, then we have our supporting details. Well, our supporting details can be a variety of things. We could have the specific information about your topic, like examples, statistics. Statistics are going to be anything that's related to like numbers or percentages that you might get regarding information like maybe how many inches of rainfall you might get. You're going to have some facts and some quotes. So these are just different supporting details in informational writing and what they could look like. And then finally, you have a concluding sentence, which is a statement that wraps up your paragraph. Concluding sentences can often be pretty tricky because you want to restate your information, but in a different way. So let's take a look at what I did after taking notes on my paragraph. If you remember, I read about the land of the Midwest region in the last video. And it talked about how there were three kind of different parts in the Midwest region of the land. We had the Central Plains, the Great Plains, and the Badlands. And when I go back to my notes here, we're going to use our notes from our previous day to help guide writing our paragraph. We've done the reading and we've picked out the important information in an easy structure. If you notice, I already had the main idea, which could also be the start of our topic sentence of our land in the Midwest, and having to do with what are some of the big ideas about the land in the Midwest. I talked about how it was flat, and then I broke up each part, or each part of the region into three different parts. And what we're going to need to do here is now we have to take these notes that we took and put them in a paragraph form. We can't just copy and paste it because our notes, again, are kind of in phrases or fragments. We need to make sure that we have full, complete sentences, and we want them to flow nicely. So once I kind of review my notes and see here, okay, now I need to think of an introduction sentence or a topic sentence, my three details, and a concluding sentence. Now you can have more than three details, but we're going to kind of stick to about three details here for the purpose of this. So I took my notes thinking about land in the Midwest is flat, has parts that are great for farming and others that are dry. The Central Plains have prairie grasses, which makes it very fertile and has very few trees. The Great Plains has soil that isn't as fertile. The land is drier and rockier because of less rainfall. And the Badlands are very dry and not useful for farming. There are canyons and steep slopes made of clay and rock. So what I did is in my informational paragraph, you're going to get a page to write your paragraph. I just did it in a slide here. And I put my heading because what you're going to see when you start writing about your state report, you are going to have headings. Okay, headings tell us what our paragraph or paragraphs are going to be about. Well, this is about the land of the Midwest. Your heading would say climate of the Midwest because you are going to be looking at your climate notes and making a paragraph after you see what I've done here. So let's take a look and let's see if we can identify some of the big parts of this paragraph here. I'm going to read this aloud and then we're going to kind of break it up. The land in the Midwest is mostly very flat and parts of it are good for farming, while other parts are dry. In the Central Plains, there are prairie grasses which cover the land and make the soil extremely fertile. In the Great Plains, there isn't as much rainfall, making the soil not as fertile. The Great Plains can be rocky and dry. Lastly, there is an area called the Badlands, which has canyons with steep slopes made of rock and clay. This area is very difficult to farm in and even to live in. Depending on where you go, the Midwest is full of plains, rolling meadows, and canyons. So I'm going to kind of exit out here from my screen, from my slideshow, so that we can do a little bit, I had a little typo here, so that we can do a little bit of highlighting, seeing if we can identify and make sure that we go back and have our topic sentence in red, a supporting details in green, and a concluding sentence. So let's go through. The land of the Midwest is mostly very flat and parts of it are good for farming while other parts are dry. I see that I made this part here, and I'm going to highlight just in a light red, as our topic sentence. I introduced what I'm going to be talking about, and it gave me a general idea of what the land is like. Now my supporting details go more into that, and I have the Central Plains, talking about how it makes it is good for farming. I have the Great Plains here, and how it's not as good for farming and some parts can be rocky and dry. And lastly, I have the Badlands. And I even gave a little bit more saying, and I broke that up into different sentences here. And then if I look here, depending on where you go, the Midwest is full of plains, rolling meadows, and canyons. I concluded out my paragraph here with a sentence giving us just a little bit of an overview, but I said it in different ways. So what you're going to do here is your job today is to go back into your reading, which you will see on Seesaw, linked, and you're going to be looking at your climate paragraph again. And I would like you to make sure that you take a look at your notes that you completed on Seesaw from the other day. You're going to use those notes and your reading. I had to go back to my reading a little bit and make sure that my reading made sense, and I had made sure that my notes were making sense as well. And you are going to make a paragraph that has at least 5 sentences, which includes a topic sentence, 3 supporting details, and a concluding sentence. Please look back at this example if you are having trouble with how to organize it and how your writing might look like. Lastly, before I sign off here, I want you to make sure that when you do write, that you also make sure you pay attention to some of these transition words. If you can make sure to include those, that would really make your writing seem more connected. All right, writers, off you go.